Christmas is supposed to be warm, that's what we're told. Warm lights on every street. Warm smiles in every commercial. Warm voices laughing around a table that always looks full. But for many people, Christmas feels cold. Not the kind of cold you fix with a jacket. The kind that settles quietly in your chest. The kind that doesn't scream, it just stays. So today, let's talk about Christmas loneliness. Not the dramatic kind. Not the kind people notice. The quiet one. The one you carry while everyone else seems busy celebrating. There's a strange pressure that comes with this season. A pressure to feel happy. A pressure to be grateful. A pressure to smile because it's Christmas. And when you don't feel those things, you start to wonder if something is wrong with you. You scroll through photos, families, couples, friends raising glasses, hugging, laughing. And even if you're not jealous, even if you're genuinely happy for them, there's still that small voice inside you that says, why not me? Loneliness during Christmas feels different from loneliness at other times of the year. In March, being alone feels neutral. In August, it feels ordinary. But in December, loneliness feels like failure. Because the world keeps reminding you of what you should have. A family dinner, a partner beside you, a place where you belong. And when you don't have that, the silence feels louder. Maybe you're far from home this year. Different country, different city, different life than the one you imagined. Or maybe you're home, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. The house is the same, but the people have changed. Or someone is missing. A chair that used to be filled now stays empty. And no one talks about it, but everyone feels it. Christmas loneliness isn't always about being physically alone. Sometimes it's about feeling unseen. You sit in a room full of people, but no one really asks how you are. They ask polite questions. They talk about work, money, plans, but no one asks about the heaviness you've been carrying all year. And you don't bring it up because you don't want to ruin the mood. So you smile, you nod, you play your role. And inside, you feel more alone than ever. Christmas loneliness hurts differently because it doesn't come alone. It arrives carrying memories. Memories of past Decembers. Past versions of yourself. Past hopes you once believed were certain. This season doesn't just show you what you lack now. It reminds you of what you once had, or what you once hoped to have. And that contrast is painful. As children, many of us learned that Christmas meant safety. A time when adults slowed down, when routines softened, when the world felt smaller, warmer, more predictable. Even if our childhood wasn't perfect, there was often something stable about this season. A smell, a song, a tradition. So when adulthood arrives and Christmas no longer carries that same sense of safety, our nervous system notices. It feels like something was taken away. This is why loneliness at Christmas feels so personal. It doesn't just say you're alone. It whispers, you're not protected anymore. And that hits a much deeper place. Another reason this season hurts is because it forces comparison. Not intentionally, not cruelly, but constantly. Everywhere you look, you see a version of togetherness. And even if you know social media is curated, even if you understand that happiness isn't permanent, your body still reacts. You don't compare lives, you compare feelings. And the feeling you're shown is belonging. So when you don't feel that, your system goes into quiet alarm. Christmas also exposes emotional debts. All the conversations that never happened, all the apologies that were never spoken, all the relationships that ended without closure. During the year we stay busy enough to avoid them, but December slows things down. and silence has a way of inviting truth to the surface. You remember people who used to know you deeply, people who saw you before you learned how to hide. And the loneliness isn't just about missing them, it's about missing that version of yourself. There's also the loneliness of unmet expectations, not expectations from others, but from yourself. You thought by now you'd feel more secure, more settled, more certain. Instead, you feel like you're still figuring things out. And Christmas has a way of asking the question you've been avoiding all year. Is this really the life I wanted? That question alone can make anyone feel isolated. Some people feel lonely at Christmas because they don't fit the traditional picture. Their life doesn't match the template. No partner, no children, no close family, and even if they're proud of the life they're building, this season suggests that something is missing. Not loudly, just subtly. Through stories, through songs, through expectations that were never designed for everyone. But here's something crucial to understand. Loneliness is not the absence of love. It's the awareness of how deeply you want it. People who feel lonely at Christmas are often people with a strong capacity for connection. They notice nuance. They feel deeply. They long for meaning, not noise. And that depth doesn't disappear just because the season is loud. Sometimes loneliness is a signal that the old ways of connecting are no longer enough. A signal that you're ready for relationships that are slower, truer, more aligned. A signal that you no longer want to belong by shrinking yourself. That kind of loneliness is painful, but it's also developmental. It means something inside you is evolving. You are not lonely because you are unlovable. You are lonely because your standards for connection have changed. And growth often feels like isolation before it feels like alignment. The instinct, when loneliness appears, is to escape it. We distract ourselves. We scroll. We keep noise playing in the background so we don't have to hear what's inside. But Christmas loneliness doesn't respond to avoidance. It waits. And the harder you try to outrun it, the louder it becomes. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? A gentler question is, how do I stay with it without drowning? The first step is permission. Permission to feel what you feel without immediately judging it. You don't have to label this season as good or bad. You don't have to turn pain into a lesson right away. You don't have to be grateful on command. You're allowed to say, "This is hard." That sentence alone creates space. Loneliness becomes overwhelming when we make it mean something about our worth. When we tell ourselves stories like, "I'm alone because I'm not enough. I'm alone because something is wrong with me. I'm alone because I failed." But loneliness is a state, not an identity. It's something you're experiencing, not something you are. And separating those two is essential. One grounding practice during this season is to come back to the body. Loneliness lives in the mind, but safety is felt in the body. Simple things matter more than you think. Warm showers, slow walks, holding a mug with both hands, breathing deeply before you reach for your phone. These are not small comforts. They are signals to your nervous system that you are still here, still safe, still held by something, even if it's just the present moment. Another important shift is redefining what connection means. Connection doesn't always come from people. Sometimes it comes from meaning, from music that understands you, from words that feel like they were written for you, from nature, from routine, from creating something, even if no one sees it yet. These forms of connection don't replace human relationships, but they sustain you until the right ones arrive. Christmas can tempt you to isolate further, to tell yourself, I'll just get through this. I'll hide until it's over. But isolation feeds loneliness. Intentional solitude is different. Isolation says, I don't matter. Solitude says, I'm listening. Even one small, intentional anchor a day matters. A short message, a brief walk outside, a ritual you repeat just for yourself. It's also okay to set boundaries this season. You don't owe anyone access to your energy. If certain gatherings drain you, you're allowed to leave early. If certain conversations feel invasive, you're allowed to redirect. Protecting your inner world is not selfish, it's self-respect. And if loneliness brings up grief, let it. Grief doesn't always come from death. It comes from endings, from versions of life that didn't happen, from love that changed form. Letting yourself grieve during Christmas doesn't dishonor the season. It honors your truth. One of the most powerful things you can do is to speak kindly to yourself, out loud. Not affirmations that feel fake, but simple truths. I'm doing the best I can. This feeling will pass. I don't have to have everything figured out. Your voice matters, especially when it's the only one in the room. Christmas loneliness softens when you stop treating it like an enemy, when you see it as a messenger rather than a verdict. It's pointing you towards something you value deeply: belonging, meaning, authenticity, and those things are still possible, even if they're not fully present yet.